Hi everybody, I'm going to tell you a story that a colleague of mine from the Puyallup Public Library, named Miss Bonnie, told me as part of our summer reading visits. If you want to follow along with this story unfold, well, you'll want a piece of paper along with you. And the instructions on how to do the folding for this story are in a different video than this. So, here's the story. Once upon a time, there was a very bored child. Well, this child had been left inside for far too long. It was draining on them. They wanted to do things, but they were told they could not. They pestered their grown-up almost endlessly about what they could do. "I'm bored," they said. "I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored." In as many ways as they could. And they got across to their grown-ups that they were very bored with everything. So their grown-up suggested, "Why don't you go on an adventure?" "What should you do with an adventure?" "Well, we'll find out." But the child thought this was a good idea. "Let's go on an adventure." So first, as part of their adventure, they went out into the yard and looked around and asked if there was anything that could be part of an adventure there. Doesn't look like there's anything to do an adventure in the yard. So they came back into the house, and they looked around the house to see if there was something in the house that they could do that would take them on an adventure. No, nothing in the house that looks like it'll be an adventure, which means we gotta go outside. And if you're gonna go outside, that means you need to have the right tools for your adventure. And one of the best tools that you can have for an adventure, especially if you're going outside when it's sunny and you need to protect your head, is a hat. So, the child collected their hat, put it on their head, and went outside looking for their adventure. Their adventure took them all the way to the town square, where there were lots of things going on in the town square, but none of them looked like adventure either. So, the child went on past the town square, despite the fact that there were lots of things that might have been interesting to a child who was bored there. They went thinking that they might go out toward the mountains and see if there was something interesting there. But before they got out of town, they stopped by the docks. And at the docks, they found something that looked like it was absolutely perfect for adventure. Sure. You know what it is. As if you go by the docks, you will find all sorts of things that are meant for adventures. But one of the most important and most common things that you'll find for an adventure is a boat. Now, this boat did not belong to the child. So, no, they probably shouldn't have taken it. But they wanted to have an adventure. And they were a bored child. And this was a boat that was right there. They could just take it with them and go and be adventurous. So even though it wasn't theirs, the child took the boat out sailing. Now this would have normally been just fine, except for the fact that the day that the child took the boat out sailing was the day that a thunderstorm came into the town. And sailing a boat in calm water and sailing a boat in a thunderstorm are two very different things. The boat first came in contact with some rocks on the river, and it took off the front of the boat. This made the child very nervous about what would happen next. But as the storm threw the ship around, it made contact with some other rocks elsewhere in the river, and that tore off the back of the boat. Now the child was very nervous about what was going to happen next. And as part of this storm, of course, there is lightning and thunder, and most boats have a nice tall place where you put all the sails, which is great for attracting a lightning bolt. So lightning flashed down from the sky, and ripped that ship mast up entirely. The ship started to sink. The boat was going down, so the child abandoned the boat and swam their way to shore. Thankfully, the child was fine from their adventure. That's always nice. Yes. But all they had to prove from that adventure that they had succeeded was the shirt on their back. And that's the story that I was told of a bored child looking for an adventure who went with their hat and took a boat that wasn't theirs into a thunderstorm. Maybe there's another version of this story that you've heard. Maybe you want to tell this one for someone else. Maybe you can decorate your shirts when you're all done. I hope you had fun listening to this story. Talk to you again soon.